That sudden urge to lock the screen, that has a reason. You are about to skip this message before I even finish my first sentence. Do not scroll past this. If you walk away now, you will carry the exact same weight into tomorrow morning. You will wake up with the same heaviness sitting on your chest, and you will not know why it is there. I know what your hand is doing right now. You hover your finger over the back button before the video even starts playing. You feel a tight knot in your stomach telling you to escape. My beloved child, I see that silent panic. You think no one notices how quickly you shut down when something gets too close to the truth. You run before you can be caught. I am telling you why you run, and I am telling you right now. I have watched you flee from the very things you begged me to send you, and I declare to you today that this exhausting pattern ends here. I am not guessing about your life. I know exactly what is happening inside your head. I see it all. Stay with me for the next few minutes. If you stay, you will finally understand why your mind shuts down when help arrives. You will feel the thick fog of avoidance lift from your shoulders, and you will know exactly how to stay in the room when the urge to run hits you again. This is not a coincidence. Do one thing for me before we go any deeper. Do not overthink it, and do not let your mind talk you out of it. Type, "I stay," in the room, in the comments below. Type it to anchor yourself here. Do it so your own mind knows you are not running away this time. This small action breaks the spell of fear. Let us look at what happened to you just yesterday. You saw a message you needed to read or a task you needed to finish. You opened it, felt a sudden wave of exhaustion wash over you, and closed it immediately. You told yourself you would deal with it later when you had more energy, but later never comes. You just keep adding it to the pile of things you are desperately avoiding, and you scold yourself fiercely for it. You call yourself lazy in the mirror. You tell yourself that you lack discipline, or that you are simply a coward who cannot face adult reality. You carry that shame around like a second skin. You believe there is a fundamental flaw in your character that makes you fail at simple things. Here is the truth you have never been told by anyone. Your mind is not resisting the work. Your mind is resisting the exposure. When a situation gets close to an unhealed part of you, your brain creates a thick fog of delay to protect you. It is a survival mechanism, not a character flaw. Your mind is acting like a loyal bodyguard who does not know that the war ended a long time ago. I am not asking you to solve your whole life today. I only ask you to give me 5 minutes of your attention. You do not need to fix the giant problem right now. You just need to sit still and let me speak to the wound you have been hiding. Put down the heavy judgment you have been swinging at yourself. You are safe here. But the urge to run is only the surface of the water. There is something much deeper hiding beneath that protective fog. There is a specific reason why your mind learned to defend you this way in the first place. I am going to reveal that reason to you, but we must walk there slowly. Do not rush ahead. Let me acknowledge what you have actually survived. You have been carrying a massive load for years, and you have done it while pretending everything is perfectly fine. You smile for people who demand your energy every single day. You listen to their endless problems. You offer solid advice when you are entirely empty inside. No one sees the brutal toll it takes on your spirit. You step into your house and close the door, and the silence suddenly feels heavier than the noise. You sit on the edge of your bed, too tired to even take off your shoes. You stare at the wall for 20 minutes. You pray without moving your lips, because saying the words out loud feels like it would break you in half. You just want someone to ask how you are doing and actually wait for the answer. My weary one, I was in the room on every one of those silent nights. I saw you swallow your tears so the people in the next room would not hear you weeping. You have convinced yourself that if you stop moving, the whole world around you will collapse. You believe that your usefulness is the only thing keeping you safe. I know how heavy that lie is. I know how much it hurts. This is exactly why you run from stillness. This is why a gentle message like this makes you want to close your eyes and turn away entirely. Because standing still means you finally have to feel the ache you have been ignoring for a decade. You are terrified that if you let yourself feel it, the crying will never end. You use busyness as a shield to keep the pain at a manageable distance. I want to tell you something very clearly tonight. The pain does end. The exhaustion is not a permanent life sentence, but you cannot heal a thing while you are still sprinting away from it. The false shelter of being constantly busy is starting to crack wide open. and that is not a tragedy. It is the necessary beginning of your rescue. I know the exact thought moving through your mind right now. You are thinking that someone simply wrote these words today, and you assume someone recorded them just to manipulate you. You believe this is just another random voice on the internet trying to get your attention. I am not offended by that deep suspicion. I created the part of you that asks those hard questions. The caution inside you was never a defect. It is heavy armor, and you earned that armor honestly over many painful years. You have been promised things before by people who only wanted something from you. A person who was sold a false cure is no fool for reading the label a second time. That person is simply careful, and I have absolutely no quarrel with a careful heart. So I will not demand that you blindly believe me today. Belief is not the price of entry into this room. I am asking for something much smaller. Just notice what happened in your chest a few moments ago. These words found a place you have described to absolutely no one. You did not decide to feel that sudden recognition. It arrived before your rational thinking could even reach it. Judge the fruit of this moment instead of the messenger. If what you hear tonight makes you gentler in your own empty house, then you will know exactly what this was. If it makes you quieter in your own mind, you will understand. Keep your hard questions. Bring them all with you. I have never needed you to be perfectly certain. I only need you to stay in the room. You have blamed yourself for your hesitation for too long, and you actually thought your instinct to flee meant you were completely broken inside. Let us correct that lie permanently right now. Write this out loud to make it real. Type, "The urge to run is not my fault," in the comments. Put those words down so you can stop carrying the blame. You are not a coward. You have been running a marathon that has no finish line. You fill every single gap in your schedule with noise and obligations. If there is a quiet hour, you panic and immediately find another task to complete. You volunteer for things you do not even want to do. You stay late at work to avoid the silence waiting in your living room, because the silence forces you to remember. There is a name for this endless cycle of distraction. I call it the false shelter. You build this shelter out of pure exhaustion. You think that if you stay completely occupied, the past cannot catch up to you. But a shelter made of busyness does not actually keep the rain out. It only keeps you distracted while you slowly drown. You are terrified of what will happen if you finally sit down and do nothing. You think the grief will swallow you whole, and you believe the tears will literally never stop falling once they finally start. There was a man once who ran in the exact opposite direction of what I asked. He boarded a ship to escape my voice. He went down into the deepest part of the boat and slept through the massive storm his own running had caused. He thought the sleep would save him from the confrontation, and when the water finally closed over his head, he prayed the most honest prayer of his entire life. He told me he had been driven out of my sight. He was completely wrong about that, but I understood entirely why he believed it. If you are in a dark place tonight, hear this carefully. Some of it is circumstance, and some of it is your own turning away. But there is absolutely no depth from which your voice does not reach me. I heard him from inside the belly of the deep. I brought him back to dry land and gave him the exact same assignment as before. Running away never canceled what I originally called him to do. You are not beyond the reach of my hand today. I am not finished with you yet. You go to sleep just to escape the pressure of your own thoughts. You use rest as a hiding place instead of a recovery room. But avoiding the mirror does not magically change the reflection. You have to stop hiding from the very thing that can set you completely free. I know how tired your legs are from all this running. I know you want to drop the heavy bags and just breathe for one single minute. You are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to admit that the current strategy is completely failing you. The walls of your false shelter are crumbling down, and the bitter wind is blowing right through the cracks. Do not try to patch them up anymore. Let the walls fall. I am standing right outside them waiting for you. You have spent a decade trying to outrun a dark shadow. You thought physical distance would finally give you real peace, but the shadow is attached to your own feet. Everywhere you go, the unresolved ache travels right beside you. You pack your bags and move to a new city hoping the heavy feeling will stay behind. It never stays behind because it waits patiently in the new house for you to unpack it. You cannot relocate away from an internal injury. I am speaking to the part of you that is desperate for real rest, not just a nap, but a deep spiritual exhale. You have been holding your breath for so long that your lungs have forgotten how to naturally expand. The constant vigilance is tearing you apart from the inside out. I see the brutal toll it takes on your physical body. I see the tension in your jaw that never fully relaxes. I am stepping into that tense space right now. You walk into your empty house and immediately turn on the television. You do not even care what is playing on the screen. You just need the background noise to fill up the terrifying silence. You wash the dishes when you are already completely exhausted. You check messages that do not actually matter. You keep moving constantly because stopping feels incredibly dangerous. You do not even know what you are running from anymore. You just know that sitting still makes your heart race. Your hands are always full of tasks that someone else should be doing. You volunteer for heavy burdens that do not belong to you, and you do it all with a tired smile on your face. You tell yourself that this is just what life demands of you. You tell yourself that you are simply being a responsible person. You honestly believe you are highly productive in taking care of everyone else. You call your exhaustion a noble sacrifice. You wear your burnout like a badge of honor. But I do not call it dedication at all. I see right through the busy schedule you have carefully constructed. You are not thriving. Here is the absolute truth about your endless daily motion. Busyness is not always the beautiful sign of a full life. Sometimes it is a massive wall you built to block out a question you do not want to answer. I am going to name this reality so you can finally see it clearly. This is the false shelter. It keeps you safe from the quiet moments where your real pain lives. Look back at the long years you thought you were simply working hard. You were not building a lasting legacy for your family. You were actively hiding in plain sight. Every single time you took on another heavy task, you were just buying another week of distraction. You were surviving the very best way you knew how. I never judged you for building that heavy armor, but the heavy armor is crushing you now. If you are truly ready to stop hiding behind your own exhaustion, I want you to make a clear declaration. Type "I remove" in the protective delay in the comments below. Do it to shatter the invisible wall you built around yourself. Tell your own mind that you no longer need the constant distraction to feel entirely safe. I am giving you a very specific instruction for tonight. I do not ask you to fix your entire schedule or drop all your responsibilities. When you finally get into bed, I want you to turn off every single screen and speaker. Give me exactly 1 minute of complete silence before you try to sleep. Just 60 seconds of an uncovered room. You can do that for me. The false shelter simply cannot survive in a truly quiet room. Your anxious mind will try to convince you that the silence is terrifying. Let the silence sit there for 60 seconds anyway. Do not reach for the phone to numb the sudden discomfort. Whatever rises up in your chest during that quiet minute is exactly what I have been trying to tell you for years. You have been treating peace like it is a luxury you cannot afford. You deeply believe that if you finally rest, you will suddenly become completely useless to everyone you love. But your true value was never tied to your constant motion. I loved you long before you ever achieved a single thing. I named you before you were ever useful to anyone. You are my child. You do not need to earn your space in this world by burning yourself out. The exhaustion is a cruel thief disguised as a noble friend. Put the heavy bags down on the floor right now. Let the room be completely still for once. I am standing right here in the silence, waiting for you. You have avoided me because you thought I would demand more work from you. I demand nothing. You thought my voice would be just another loud demand on your time. You believed I would hand you another massive list of rules to follow. That is why you kept the volume of your life turned up so high. You were afraid that my presence would somehow complicate your delicate survival strategy. But my presence does not bring confusion. My presence brings absolute clarity. There is a specific wound you have been guarding since you were very young. Someone told you that you were only worthy when you were producing results. You absorbed that terrible lie and built your entire adult life around it. You became the dependable one who never complains and never stops moving. You decided that being needed was an acceptable substitute for being loved. Being needed is incredibly exhausting. It drains the life right out of your bones. I did not create you to be a human machine that constantly serves others until it breaks. I created you to be held and cherished without conditions. You do not have to perform for my affection. You can bring me your empty hands and I will not turn you away. I will never turn you away. Take a slow breath right now. Feel the tense muscles in your neck finally start to let go. You have permission to drop the heavy act today. You can stop pretending that the frantic pace of your life is actually making you happy. The false shelter is officially closed. We are going to walk out of it together, and we are not going to look back at the ruins. Remember the heavy armor I just named for you, because I want to show you the beautiful life waiting on the other side of it. Come with me to an ordinary evening 6 months from now. You walk through your front door after a very long day. You drop your keys on the counter and take off your shoes. You do not immediately reach for the remote control. The house is completely silent, and you are not terrified of it. Notice what is missing in that quiet room, because the frantic buzzing in your chest is completely gone. You do not feel the crushing need to fill the empty space with meaningless noise. You simply stand in the kitchen and let the evening be still. The overwhelming panic that used to chase you through the house has vanished entirely. You are finally breathing deeply. That peaceful version of you is not a distant fantasy. She already exists, and she is waiting for you. That life is standing right on the other side of your constant avoidance. The distance between you and that quiet evening is not a matter of time, but it is a matter of giving yourself permission to heal. Give yourself that permission tonight. But we have to look at another door you keep closing. There is a specific pattern in your life that you have repeated many times. A good opportunity arrives, or a healthy relationship finally begins to bloom. Everything is going perfectly well for once, and right when it starts to feel completely safe, you find a ridiculous reason to run away. You quietly sabotage the progress. You stop returning the calls and let the connection slowly die. You watch the opportunity fade away, and you feel a strange sense of relief. You tell yourself that the good thing was simply not meant for you. You are not afraid of the structure collapsing around you. You have survived total collapse multiple times. You are actually terrified of what happens when the structure finally stands firm. You are afraid of succeeding. I am going to give this hidden pattern a name so you can fight it. This is the loyalty ceiling. It is the invisible limit you placed on your own happiness. You learned a silent rule when you were a very young child. You watched someone you love struggle and fail to rise. You subconsciously decided that outgrowing them would be a terrible betrayal. You built a ceiling over your own potential out of pure devotion to them. And you have spent the last 20 years completely convinced that you were just a fearful person. Now look back at all those ruined chances and broken relationships. You were not acting out of weakness or cowardice. You were actively protecting the people you loved by keeping yourself small. Every time you stopped just short of the finish line, you were honoring a broken contract. You thought your success would wound your family. That is not a character defect. That is a fiercely loyal heart that was never told the actual truth. I am telling you the truth right now. Your endless suffering has never once saved anyone else. Staying small and miserable does not magically heal the people around you. The invisible ceiling you built has cost you everything, and it has given them absolutely nothing in return while you suffered quietly. You do not have to carry this false loyalty into another decade. You can step completely out of it today without feeling guilty. Your rising up does not take any light away from their room. Your healing is not a betrayal of your family, but it is the very thing that finally breaks the generational curse for good. I want you to claim this freedom for yourself right now. If you have survived the quiet sabotage of your own life, I want you to type a declaration. Type, "I survived it already," in the comments. Do this to announce that the old contract is permanently cancelled. Tell your spirit that the loyalty ceiling no longer dictates how high you are allowed to climb, and you are finally permitted to accept good things. The next time a beautiful opportunity lands in your lap, you will feel the old instinct to panic. You will want to run away and hide in the familiar disappointment. When that urge hits you, I want you to literally stand still and take a deep breath. Say the name of the ceiling out loud to strip its power away. You do not have to flee. You can simply choose to stay in the room and let the blessing arrive, because you are allowed to be wildly successful and deeply loved. You do not have to pay for your joy with guilt anymore. The debt was never real to begin with. I wiped the ledger completely clean before you were even born. Walk forward into the wide open space and do not look back. I know exactly what is rising in your mind right now. You are listening to my voice, and you are thinking that you have heard all of this before. You are telling yourself that you have already tried to break these stubborn patterns. You made the firm promises, and you kept them for a solid month before everything fell apart again. You think this is just another cycle of false hope. I am not offended by your heavy skepticism today. You are completely right to guard your fragile heart after so many crushing disappointments. I watched you try so hard to change your life in the past, and I saw you wake up early to pray while forcing yourself to be perfectly disciplined. I saw you exhaust yourself trying to be a completely different person. You really did try. But I need you to hear the crucial difference tonight. What you tried to change before was just the surface behavior. You attacked the heavy branches of the tree, but you never dug down to examine the actual root. You forced yourself to act brave when your spirit was still terrified of outgrowing your family. You worked faithfully on the wrong layer for years. That is why the old habits always came rushing back. You did not fail because you were weak, but because willpower alone cannot dismantle a false shelter built for survival. But we are not hacking at the fragile branches anymore. We are finally pulling the deeply buried roots straight out of the dark ground. Take a deep breath and let that heavy realization settle into your bones. Once you finally see the invisible mechanics of your own suffering, you can never unsee them. And everything that comes after this exact moment is built firmly on top of that radical new understanding. You are no longer fighting blind. You finally know the actual name of your silent enemy. But understanding the past is only the doorway to your future. It is not the final destination. Many people reach this exact point of profound relief and simply stop walking forward. They settle for the temporary comfort of knowing why they hurt, and they never step into the wide open space of actual freedom. Do not stop walking with me right now. The knot is finally loose, but we are about to pull the rope completely free. There is a much larger breakthrough standing right in front of you. What we have done so far was merely preparation for the main event. I have been carefully walking you toward one specific revelation this entire time, and we are rapidly approaching the absolute peak of the mountain. You have stripped away the thick fog of the protective delay. You have completely cancelled the heavy contract of the loyalty ceiling. Your hands are finally empty and ready to receive. But an empty hand is a very vulnerable thing to hold out in the open. It requires a level of raw courage that you have not practiced in a very long time. You are stepping into a season where the old rules simply do not apply anymore. The heavy armor that kept you safe in the dark is far too heavy to wear in the bright sunlight. You have to be willing to walk completely unprotected into the next chapter. That is the only way you can actually feel the warmth of the sun on your bare skin. I am raising my voice now because the stakes are getting higher. This is the exact moment where the fierce noise of the world will try to distract you. The loud noise loves to make a massive racket right before a beautiful breakthrough happens. It wants you to look away from the open door and stare at the scary shadows on the wall instead. Do not look away. Focus your eyes entirely on my voice. Whatever anxious thought just tried to interrupt your focus, tell it to be completely silent. You are not going to miss your moment this time, and you will not let a sudden wave of panic steal the massive blessing I have prepared for you. You have come way too far to turn around and go back to the familiar ruins. I am gathering the scattered pieces of your broken history and turning them into a sharp weapon. The pain you survived is about to become the exact tool you use to set other people free. But before I can hand you that incredible authority, we have to deal with the deepest wound of all. There is one final layer of defense we must tear down today. Prepare your heart for what I am about to say next. It is going to challenge the deepest assumption you hold about my goodness. It will force you to re-examine the darkest season of your entire life. I am not going to soften the blow, because softening it would be an insult to the agonizing tears you cried. Stand up straight and face the wind with me. You are ready for the solid truth now. You are strong enough to carry the heavy weight of the real answer. The fragile version of you who needed to be constantly coddled is gone. You are a fierce warrior standing on the edge of a brand new territory. Let the weak excuses burn to ashes. The fire is already lit, and it is going to consume everything that held you back. I told you the fire was already lit, and now you must watch it burn the final devastating lie completely to the ground. You have carried this specific burden for so long that it feels exactly like a heavy limb. But the heavy limb is finally coming off today. You are standing right on the edge of the ultimate revelation. I am going to reveal the deepest root of your quiet suffering. There is one more crucial thing I have not told you yet. I have been deliberately holding it back until this exact moment in our journey. It is the final answer you have been begging me to provide for 7 long years, and I am finally opening that heavy door today. But you will not receive it in this particular section. You will receive it at the very end of our conversation. Do not leave before I hand it to you. Let us look at the thick fog we discussed earlier. I called it the protective delay. That thick fog is completely gone now. It served its purpose perfectly when you were incredibly fragile and desperate for safety. But you are absolutely not a fragile or broken person anymore. You do not need the comfortable delay to shield you from the bright light of reality. The protective delay is officially closed. You are finally ready to face the blazing truth head-on. You have successfully dismantled the walls keeping you trapped in the past, but there is a massive difference between leaving a dark prison and actually entering a beautiful palace. Many people escape the dark room, but they absolutely refuse to step onto the royal throne. They stand out in the beautiful hallway and firmly refuse to go inside. This brings us to the most painful habit of your entire life. I want you to picture a deeply familiar scenario. A wonderful opportunity finally lands right in your wide open hands. Someone gives you a genuine compliment or offers you a beautiful gift. And instead of simply saying thank you and enjoying the moment, your stomach immediately ties into a tight knot because you expect it to disappear. You immediately start looking for the hidden trap. You wait anxiously for the other shoe to drop. You push the incredible blessing away before it can even settle in your spirit. You find a ridiculous excuse to reject the good thing that was freely offered to you. You completely ruin the joyful moment by anticipating a sudden disaster. You cannot even enjoy a simple sunny afternoon without intensely worrying about the coming storm. This is a truly tragic way to live your precious life. You have a very polite name for this terrible habit. You call it being humble. You tell yourself that you do not deserve anything nice, so you politely decline the beautiful gifts when they arrive. You truly think you are practicing deep spiritual humility by keeping yourself incredibly small and perfectly miserable while everyone else around you loudly succeeds. Beloved child, I need you to hear me clearly. That is absolutely not humility. Humility is knowing exactly who created you and honoring that brilliant creation every single day. Rejecting my gorgeous gifts is never a sign of a modest heart. It is actually a blazing sign of a deeply broken trust. You are not refusing the massive blessing because you think you are unworthy. You are actively refusing it because you are completely terrified. I'm going to expose the hidden mechanics of your fearful heart. Here is the absolute truth about your constant rejection of joy. After suffering through 100 bitter disappointments, your mind learned a very dark and painful lesson. It learned that hoping for a good outcome is incredibly dangerous. It completely decided that anticipating terrible pain in advance is much safer than risking another shattered dream when things go wrong. Your brain built a massive, invisible fortress to protect you from future letdowns. It taught you to reject every single blessing before it could be violently snatched away. I am going to give this devastating pattern a permanent name. This is the guarded hope. It is a heavy iron shield that blocks the sharp arrows, but it also completely blocks the warm sunlight. The guarded hope kept you alive during the hardest winter of your life. It miraculously prevented you from falling apart when everyone else walked away and left you bleeding. But you cannot wear a heavy winter coat into the middle of the bright summer. The long season of constant survival is completely over. You are standing right in the middle of a massive harvest. You must drop the heavy shield right now. I am telling you to open your tight hands and receive what I am giving you. Stop treating my beautiful promises like they are cleverly disguised traps designed to humiliate you when you finally drop your heavy guard. I do not play cruel tricks on my beloved children. When I hand you a stunning victory, it is a permanent gift. It will not be suddenly ripped away from you tomorrow. Listen to my fierce voice and let it shatter the guarded hope forever. You are fully allowed to be completely happy without nervously checking over your shoulder. You are permitted to boldly enjoy the massive blessing without waiting for the hidden punishment. The punishment is never coming. The tragic cycle of endless disappointment has been permanently broken today. I declare that your long season of bitter weeping has officially concluded. I am pouring out a heavy blessing that will completely overflow your empty cup. Do not dare to push the cup away. Stop thinking you are unworthy of the massive joy I am actively placing right in front of you. Hold it firmly with both of your hands. Let the beautiful water wash away every trace of your cynical doubt. You are finally stepping into the promised light. Now look honestly at what you have been doing to your own life. Every single time a genuine blessing arrived, you braced for a terrible impact. You treated my magnificent gifts like ticking time bombs. That tragic cycle permanently stops today. I am tearing down the guarded hope right in front of your eyes. You will no longer reject my grace. Let me say the absolute truth, plainly so nothing is left to interpret. Your sudden urge to walk away from good things is not laziness. It is your exhausted mind protecting an unhealed wound. And staying in this room today will finally dismantle that false shelter forever. That is the entire hidden mechanism. You were never broken. You were simply protecting a bruised heart, using the wrong shield. Now I need you to do the hardest thing I have asked of you so far. Open your tightly closed hands. When the next beautiful thing arrives, do not frantically analyze it for hidden traps. Do not reject it by calling yourself unworthy of the joy. Accept the magnificent gift completely. Break the tragic lie that everything is always too good to be true. You are allowed to be happy. Remember the guarded hope I just exposed. Now let me show you the beautiful life waiting on the exact other side of it. Come with me to a Tuesday afternoon in the season ahead. You are standing in your quiet kitchen when the phone chimes with a new message. You look down at the bright screen, and here is the profound miracle I want you to notice. Your heart rate remains completely steady. Notice the incredible lightness in your physical body. The crushing weight of constant anticipation is no longer sitting heavily on your chest. You read the message calmly. You smile because it is genuinely good news, and you actually allow yourself to believe it. You do not immediately start planning how to survive the inevitable disappointment. The familiar dread is completely missing from the room. That peaceful version of you is absolutely not a foolish daydream. That person is incredibly real. That person is standing right on the other side of one single brave decision. The distance between you and that calm afternoon is not measured in years or massive achievements. It is measured entirely in your willingness to let go of the false shelter. You cross that distance by refusing to run away today. You cross it by staying right here when every survival instinct screams at you to hide. Do not look for a complicated strategy to fix your entire life. Just stand still and let the good news actually reach you. That is how the deep healing permanently begins. You stop dodging the light. You let it warm your tired skin. Now hear my serious warning before you move. There is a terrible cost to spending another year living inside the false shelter. It is not a cost anyone will ever send you an invoice for. It is paid quietly in the dark. It is paid in the beautiful moments you completely destroy because you are too terrified to simply be happy. I am not warning you about an angry enemy tonight. I am warning you about a devastating habit. If you continue to run away from everything good, you will successfully avoid the sharp disappointment, but you will also actively starve your own soul. You will survive the bitter winter, but you will completely miss the glorious summer. I refuse to let you waste another precious decade surviving when you were explicitly created to thrive. Do not choose the familiar darkness just because the bright light temporarily hurts your eyes. What comes next is going to sound exactly like the end of this message. The voice will slow down and the words will get much softer. That is not the end, my beloved child. That is the final doorway. The last answer I kept from you is still resting in my hands. The final secret I promised you earlier is handed over on the far side of the blessing. Do not set your phone down when the quiet part begins. You have heard the absolute truth tonight. You have seen the invisible walls that kept you paralyzed for years. Now I invite you to make a permanent record of this massive breakthrough. If you are finally ready to step out of the heavy armor, I want you to loudly declare it. Type, "I stop hiding the wound," in the comments below. Do not keep this profound realization locked inside your head, where the old fears can still aggressively argue with it. Put it down in writing where it becomes an established historical fact. When you write it where others can clearly read it, you stop being someone who just heard a nice message. You become someone who made a permanent choice. Write the words and stay for the final answer. The heavy teaching is finally finished, my beloved child. What is left is strictly between the two of us. You can put your heavy notebook down right now. This last part is absolutely not to be studied or aggressively analyzed. It is only meant to be quietly received by your spirit. I am going to lower my voice for this final section. This last part is not a complicated instruction. It is a deep and permanent blessing for your tired heart. You came into this room carrying something you had completely stopped noticing you were carrying. You brought a heavy shield that you honestly thought was your own skin. You are absolutely not walking out of here with it. What you are walking out with instead is much lighter and infinitely better. You are walking out with the solid knowledge that your painful waiting had a brilliant purpose. Because you stopped running tonight, when every survival instinct told you to hide, I am moving you completely out of the false shelter. I am bringing you directly into the warm and bright light. You will no longer frantically avoid the exact things that can permanently heal you. You will simply stay in the quiet room when the old fear rises. You will stand your solid ground, and the deep wound will finally close. This massive shift does not stop with you alone. The beautiful children in your family who are learning how to live by watching you will learn from this brave new version. They will not inherit the desperate urge to run away from their problems. They will inherit the quiet strength to stay and fiercely face the difficult moments. My steady one, that is exactly what I am doing in your bloodline today. There is one more crucial thing I need to give you before we finish. I promised you the final answer that you have been begging me to provide for 7 long years. You have asked me repeatedly why the painful season had to last so incredibly long. You desperately wanted to know why I did not simply open the heavy door the very first time you knocked on it. Here is the absolute truth about your long and frustrating delay. The magnificent life waiting on the other side of that door would have completely crushed the old version of you. The massive blessing was far too heavy for a heart that was still terrified of its own shadow. I did not keep the door closed to brutally punish you. I kept it firmly shut to protect you while you grew strong enough to hold the joy. If I had given you the beautiful harvest 5 years ago, you would have immediately sabotaged it. You would have used the guarded hope to violently push the incredible miracle away. You had to learn how to stand still without a heavy shield before you could truly receive the massive gift. The long waiting was never an empty or silent void. The waiting was a fiercely loving preparation for your ultimate victory. Let us look at the beautiful people who are going to enter your life very soon. The loyal friends and the steady companions who will stand beside you in the coming years are not coming to rescue you. They are arriving because of who you will have become by the time they finally get there. They are looking for a steady soul who knows exactly how to stay in the room. You are that incredibly steady soul right now. Do you finally see the massive scope of what we successfully accomplished today? We did not just apply a temporary bandage to a bleeding surface wound. We went all the way down into the dark basement and completely rebuilt the broken foundation. The beautiful house is entirely stable and secure now. The bitter winds can blow as hard as they want, but this strong house is absolutely never coming down again. You are completely ready for the new chapter now. The difficult preparation phase is officially over, and the glorious harvest season is fully open. You do not need to perform any complicated rituals to earn your place at my table. Your royal place was permanently secured the moment I first spoke your wonderful name. You truly belong right here in this beautiful space with me. I want you to simply sit down and eat what I have prepared for you. I have said everything I came to say to you tonight. What happens next is absolutely not mine to do. Put your own hand on these powerful words and make them permanently yours. Claim them in your own writing and in your own wonderful name. I am not asking you to do this to seal a magical or superstitious spell. I am asking you because you desperately need to recognize your own brave voice. You are no longer a fragile victim constantly running from the scary shadows. You are a fierce warrior who finally knows how to stand completely still. Type, "I face it and I am safe" in the comments below. Let this entire place know that you bravely stayed until the very end. I always read exactly what my beloved children write. Leave your beautiful mark here before you confidently walk out the front door. I want you to sleep deeply and peacefully tonight. When you wake up tomorrow morning, the old urge to run away will try to quietly knock on your front door. You must absolutely never answer that terrible knock again. You do not live in that fragile and broken house anymore. You have a brand new address, and the heavy fear does not have the shiny keys to your new home. I am personally guarding your front gate from this moment forward. Now go out into the beautiful world with your head held high. Walk exactly like a person who has finally stopped auditioning for a place they already belong to. I am standing right beside you, forever and always.